Hello, everyone. Welcome to Global Study Partners live stream. Today, I'm so honored to introduce to you Miss Christy Michelle from Audencia Business School. Hi, Christy. Can you introduce yourself to our audience?
Hi, thank you, Tricia. So my name is Michelle. I'm in charge of international admissions for Asia Pacific for Audencia Business School here in Nantes, France. And thank you so much for having me. Very pleased to be here.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. So a lot of Vietnamese students and parents and our partners are familiar with French, but not much about business school. So can you tell us more about Audencia and the living and the course there that you offer?
Yeah, sure. So Audencia is one of the top business schools in France, also one of the oldest. We were founded in 1900, so over 121 years. Um, we are in France, as you all know. However, most of our programs are taught entirely in English. So there's no requirement to speak French, but of course it's an amazing opportunity to maybe learn or improve your French and then get the whole, international experience and experience in France. So should I go ahead and start this presentation then?
Yes, please.
Okay, great. So I'll tell you a little bit more very briefly, just go over everything because I want to leave enough time for question and answer after. So don't worry if I go quickly over some things. I can go back to anything you'd like to touch upon after during the Q&A session.
Yeah.
So as I said, our pillars is you see here academic excellence, professionalization, and international outlook. Um, I'll tell you a bit more about those and also what makes Audencia different. We are ranked in the top in the world. We also have triple accreditation, which is something that all students will be looking for their the quality and the international recognition of their degree and of their studies. So we have EQUIS, AACSB, and AMA, the famous Triple Crown. And we were reaccredited for the maximum amount of 5 years for those. And there are very few business schools that have all three accreditations. We also have, on that note, before I go into the rankings, official French accreditations. Some of our programs, bachelor's and master's in management and MBAs, have official French accreditations. So you have both the French accreditations, which will allow you to the students to have their degrees recognized maybe back in their own country or elsewhere, and also if they're looking for job opportunities in France. So that's an important factor. These are some of our rankings that we have. Business schools are always, you look at objectively, comparatively rankings. So in the latest Financial Times, we have a program that is ranked 44th in the world and even 23rd for career services. That is one of our strong points, career services, that I'll tell you about. QS, we have a supply chain and purchasing management program, is in the number 16th. You see here The Economist, for example, we're number 20 in the world for master in management, and our full-time MBA is also very highly ranked in that. And then French accreditations, just if you're interested. I think one is interesting is the Happy at School, so it's not just about academics and career services and career outcomes, but that's also how happy the students are. And you see here we're number 2 in all of France for that. So that's also a great experience, I think, for the students here at our school. And part of that great experience is where we are. So France, we are actually in I don't know why that is here, a city called Nantes, which is in Western France. So it's just 2 hours from Paris, so you can easily go to Paris. It's also within 2 hours of all of Europe. So even on a student budget, you have low-cost flights that you can go visit all over Europe on long weekends and holidays. Students are traveling. And the city itself is actually been ranked as one of the best cities to live in Europe. You get the kind of the advantages of a big city with many things to do and very, very active cultural and artistic scene, many bars and restaurants, which are now open. Thanks to now in France, everybody's asking this. So now in France, we're almost at 87% of fully vaccinated here in France. And you have a special pass to show that you've been vaccinated to go into restaurants and bars and cinema. So that's allowed us to really open up. So students are now getting the full experience. They're in class and they are, having the full experience of living in Nantes and traveling and all of that. So we're not far from the coast as well. I just put in after here a few photos. It doesn't seem to be charging correctly, but we'll see in just a moment. Of the city, just a really beautiful city. That's one of the feedback we get from the students that, as I said, a mix of modern and traditional, very clean, very safe, really, really beautiful place to live.
Is everything is open right now, Michelle? Is
Yes.
everything like open
Yeah,
and we can go out for restaurant and things?
exactly. As I said, you do have to show if you go to a restaurant or a bar or a cinema or a show. You do have to show what they call a pass sanitaire, which is a QR code
Mm.
that says either that you're vaccinated, you're fully vaccinated, or that you have a negative PCR. So also that allows you within the restaurant to, take off your mask and, and safely. So yes, things are completely open. Not completely open, but with these safety measures.
Yeah.
In the classroom, we do still wear masks, but it's fully in class right now. So we hope that will continue. I feel very lucky to be back to
Yeah,
that.
that's still great. Yeah.
Yeah, especially the students. Of course, we are fully equipped with hybrid classrooms. So if ever, unfortunately, something comes up and we need to go back to online, we can. And if a student is ill, for example, or something, we can switch it on and they can follow the live classes online.
Yeah.
But it's part of the experience is really being here, being there for that. I don't know if you see there seems to be an issue with my PowerPoint. Oh, there it goes. We're
Yeah.
back to
It's a
normal.
little bit lag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. So just to give you an idea of what our school is like, so we are only dedicated to business. Of course, within business, that's a vast, vast topic, marketing and finance, and we have
Mm.
from the bachelor's level up until executive. We have over 5,000 students. Of those, about 34% are international. And there are over 100 different countries represented. The staff is also very international.
Mm.
So it's really within the classroom, within the school, because you also have opportunities to mix the students with other classes, other programs as well. You'll get a great mix and a great international and intercultural experience here, as well as the experience in France and in Europe. So. So the global networks, of course, you have access to our alumni network with all our alumni services. Partner businesses, mentioned earlier, professionalization is one of our main strong points. So we do have partners with businesses both in France and internationally. And that allows students to get great career outcomes. Within 2 months of graduation, almost all of the students have found a job. A lot of them, about a third, that's directly through their internship. As you'll see later, all of our programs include an internship at the end, so that the students finish, they learn, and then they finish by putting into practice what they've learned, and they graduate with work experience as well as academics. And in France, internships are paid. So if they don't have to do in France, they can do their internship anywhere in the world. It can also be a consulting project or even a job. So we have our career services that help the students with that. We have career fairs, both online and in person, with companies coming to meet the students. Other career services, we have our Tools. We have workshops for the students in helping them do their CV, write the personal statement. We do mock job interviews about negotiating your salary. We really prep the students, and we also give them individual career counseling, and they can have as many meetings as they need with our career counselors. So they really get a lot of services and a lot of help, both to find an internship and to find a job, and also to define their career. So we do help them with that across all programs. That's a very strong point we have here. And besides the internship, we have a lot of within the program, a lot of project-based learning, case studies, but even real consulting projects with real companies. So we give students a lot of opportunities to get a hands-on experience. They have field trips, company visits, people from the industries coming in. So it's not just theory, it's really into practice. Even at the bachelor's level, they have plenty of some maybe shorter internships and company experiences as they go. That's also why we have great career outcomes, I think, because
Can
companies
a
know that.
student, sorry, can a student
Yeah.
apply join those support and programs since the freshman, or they need to be like in the final year?
The career services are from year one, actually even from first week. Even the second day, often that's when they get their first meeting workshop with the career services. It's from the very beginning, no matter if they're the first year in bachelor's or if they're in an executive MBA. All across and all throughout the programs, it's constantly workshops, constantly meetings. So yes.
That's great.
It's open to everyone. And even after, once they graduated through the alumni services, there's also other services they can get through for career to help the career and then continuing the networking and career boosting. So it's even after. Right, so this is just an overview of the different programs we have. So undergraduate, we have a general bachelor's in management. So it's after high school. This can be done in English or in French. And we have a BBA, which is a 4-year bachelor's program in big data and management. And this is a double degree with a local engineering school, Centrale. So they get the management side, half the classes management and half the classes in data analytics and more of the engineering side. Then we have some more, I said, general management, which is more open. Within these programs, students can specialize. So these are great for people who are not quite sure what they want to do, or maybe come from a different background. Maybe they've done engineering or something else. We have master in management engineering, that's specifically for engineers, international management, and then we have European international. And then we have some specialized ones for people who want to go, for example, in the food and agribusiness field. Of course, that's a huge field worldwide. Everybody with many challenges for the future now with the climate change, etc. Subject of the day, data management for finance as well. That's also a topic that's coming up, very popular. And supply chain and purchasing. Also, supply chain has become, through the pandemic and the climate change, something crucial in all industries. And then for executive people with work experience, we have a full-time MBA program in English. All these are in English unless I say otherwise. We have an executive MBA, which is blended, mainly online, Chief Value Officer, Finance for Sustainability. And then we have a DBA doctorate program as well. Just looking at the time. So undergraduate programs. I'll just go very briefly over these different programs, and then if you have any specific questions, you can ask. So the Bachelor of Management, as I said, is a 3-year program, and it's really, so they're coming out of high school, they know they want to do management, but they're not quite sure what, and we really allow them to explore, and then they can choose specializations in marketing, in sales, in finance, in accounting, or even just stay really broad and general. To wait until they get to the master's level to specialize. You see we have up to 12 months throughout the 3 years of internships. They can go abroad. It's a really exciting option. They can really tailor their program to their needs and what they're looking for. Of course, they get the career coaching and advising also academically as well, so even from at this level. So we help them with that. So the degree is a state certified degree at the highest level, of a 3-year degree that we have. They can do it in English and French. They can even start in English and they have French lessons throughout. And then in the final year, choose like a French specialization. That's a possibility as well. It's one start per year in September. It's here in Nantes. Here you have the tuition fees, 8,150 per year. There are scholarships. I'll tell you about those after. It's very important. Um, and they need to have, of course, a high school equivalent, whatever that is in your country, to get in, and then proficiency in either English or French, depending on the track they like to start in. I'll tell you about the English proficiency requirements at the end as well, because it's the same for the different programs. Oh, sorry, not nothing. So the BBA, Big Data and Management, as I said, this is a joint program between Audencia, the business school, and engineering. So I think it's a very exciting for to get really, the future in, everyone talks about big data, but this is really to see how to manage big data, blockchain, AI. It's all about data analytics. So you have the engineering side, the more technical side at the engineering school, which is one of the top engineering schools in France, and then the management side at Audencia. And there's also academic semesters abroad, one in China and one in Morocco. So super international experience as well. This is, I said, a 4-year program, 12,000 per year before scholarships. Same requirements. Here we do require people to still have kind of at least be good in math and sciences as well to go into this one. Master's programs. So this is kind of our what we call in French our main, they say programme phare, which I guess would be the program that we've had since, for over 120 years, that's been, of course, adjusted and every year innovated, where we have most of the French students. That's why you can do it in French or in English or a mix as well. This leads to official French state certified degree. What's interesting in this, it's 2 years or 3 years. They can take an optional gap year. That would be an internship, but you have they have a first semester of core courses and electives, and then they can choose. They have 2 semesters of specialization, and there's over 20 different options, and they can even mix and match, do one in marketing and one in finance. There's a lot of options in this, and then at the end, this internship that is usually a semester. It's about 4 to 6 months. That can be done anywhere in the world. There's options also for to go abroad for a semester or to do a double degree. There's a slight additional cost for that. These are just some examples of the different majors they can choose. You see in finance, there's a whole list of different ones. Here, if this is EN, if it's in English or in French. So corporate finance, risk management, financial strategy, analysis. In marketing, we have many marketing for a product manager in English, and then we have a few others. And then in management, of course, consulting, that's a very popular one. Sustainable impact, that is something I failed to mention earlier about what is special about Audencia that I do need to add to my slides, because it is very, very important. Sustainable impact, you'll see later, there's things about CSR, corporate social responsibility. That's really at the heart of Audencia's values and how we see business and what makes us a bit different from other schools. A lot of schools are talking about it now, but Audencia actually did research into this field. We have several research chairs dedicated to CSR and sustainability and multi-capital performance, finance, sustainability. And we were one of the first French business schools to sign the Global Compact with the United Nations. We were WWF, and we were doing this in the early 2000s before it became something. So this is really an expertise. And it's also our core value. We want to train students to, only get exciting careers, make money, do businesses and make profits, but we want them to also at the same time be leaders for change, make a positive impact through business, use business and management as a tool to, make a world a better place, maybe in a small way, but at least take into account how to do that. And it's not just, an idea. It's really strategically, we give the tools, there's measurement tools, there's different ways of doing it, how to implement CSR and sustainability, to actually make more profits and make the world a better place. So that's really something that's essential about Audencia, and then students really can give an extra value and meaning to their career as well. I think that's really something that they really enjoy. Maybe they didn't know it before, but when they get here, you can have it both ways. You can have it all, we think. So here you see is also supply chain, digital business. We have a lot of digital as well. That's also one of our strong points. We do incorporate digital, both data analytics, blockchain, things like that, into our different programs. So we're constantly updating. Okay, so we have here, as I said, there's the tuition. The tuition here, 29,750 euros, is for all 2 years, the whole 2 years of the program as well. All of the masters, you have to have a bachelor's degree. So at least for this one, at least 3 years of higher studies in bachelor's. It doesn't matter in what field. It's really open to any different, you don't have to have studied management before. That's great if for anybody from any different field. This is very particular. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Do you require work experience, or can they be unrelated background? Yeah.
No, work experience is only required for MBAs, executive programs. For all of our masters or bachelors, no work experience is required. If they do have a little work experience or internships, that'll be a plus, but it's not a minus if they don't have it. It's not required. Won't say much about this one because this is particular, this Master in European International Business Management, because it's a really interesting program, but you do need to speak English, French, and Spanish, or at least one of the English and either French or Spanish, because it is taught in all 3 languages in 3 different countries. So if you do know anybody who does have that profile, this is often people from language backgrounds and who would like to go into business who can do this. So it's a triple degree. Here are our different Master of Science programs. This leads to a degree that's certified by, in France, they call the Conférence des Grandes Écoles, which is a French certifying body. So all the different ones, they're all in English. They're 9 months, so they start in October. There's 2 programs that also have a February intake. And the basic structure of all the different programs is you have 1 semester of core courses, or the fundamentals if it's a specialized one. Then you have a 2nd semester where they can choose specializations, or they go into advanced courses if it's a specialized MSc. And then the famous internship or professional experience worldwide, which is 4 to 6 months anywhere. As I said, in France, it could be paid internship, but they could also be a consulting project that the school would give them, in which case it would not be paid, but then they don't have to look for that. It's up to them, but we do want them to get professional experience. Tuition varies between 16,000 and 22,000, depending on the program, before scholarships. And then we have an extended track in case anybody doesn't have because you need to have a 4-year degree, which is the case in most of Asia, I believe, to get into the MSc programs. If they have a 3-year degree, or they don't have a background in either management, business, or engineering, we have kind of a prep course for them that's 3 months before, from July to October, for them to get all the fundamentals in management before they go into the main program. So that's what this extended is. It has an additional cost of 4,000 to the cost. So I'll go very briefly because we're running out of time. So we have one, the international management, which is a more of a generalist program. It's very popular because they can kind of explore, and then they can choose between more of a finance focus, a marketing focus, or a general management focus, or also food and agribusiness. And it's very, very international, over 20 different nationalities. Really focus on the international aspect. Supply chain and purchasing management, also very popular. This is, so we saw earlier, ranked in QS. Also, it has a CIPS accredited, so the Chartered Institute of Procurement and Supply. And there's a lot of, which is highly recognized in the corporate world. And there's a lot of corporations that actually, hire through that. So it's also an amazing networking opportunity for this. This one has 2 intakes. And it also is really close ties with guest speakers and the industry. And there's also real consulting projects with real companies on matters in supply chain and procurement. And so it's really about half and half of procurement and supply chain. Food and agribusiness management, I mentioned earlier. This is actually a double degree program where you get they're in France from October to March, and then they go to Brazil from March to May, and they get an MBA from our partner school there, an MSc from France. And the idea is to really give them the perspectives of two of the world leaders in the field of food and agribusiness who do things extremely differently. And there's really strong focus on the industry. These are mainly students who come often from more of a scientific or engineering related to food or agriculture and want to get the management side, but can also be the opposite, people from management or even other fields who just have a passion for the industry and want to work in it. Oops, sorry. This is a new program we have in data management for finance. So we really, these are either people from IT, from tech, who want to go more into the management side, or management want to go more into tech, and to be the bridge between the finance and the people analyzing data and how to interpret it for the financial aspects. So really for the market. And they can specialize either corporate finance or market finance here. And if they do market finance, then the semester would be at our school in China, in Shenzhen. It's called the Shenzhen Audencia Business School. Otherwise, all of the programs are here and not in France. Management engineering is actually an accelerated version of the master in management I told you about earlier, but it's specifically for engineers. So it's 18 months. So they only have one specialization, but they can choose amongst all the different ones that we have in the master in management. And it's really to give them the engineers complementary studies in management. And this one is the one that's ranked in the Financial Times. This has 2 intakes as well. And then very briefly, our executive programs, we have a full-time MBA. Minimum 3 years of work experience is required to go into full-time MBA. So it's 1 year. It's a small class of 30 to 40 students because we really have tailored services within this. It's really about, developing executive leadership skills. This one is ranked in the top 100 by the Economist and the QS as well, for example. This is just to show you the track. They can choose between corporate finance, entrepreneurship, strategic CSR, innovation and product development. Here, the internship isn't mandatory. They can also do research-based, or they can do an entrepreneurial project. We do have an incubator for any of the master's programs as well. If they have an entrepreneurial project, they can use our incubator, and we can actually even help them set up their companies. We have quite a few entrepreneurs in our different programs. Sometimes the students get together and set up their own companies as well. And you can even get actually visa. You can in France, if students want to stay on, are looking for jobs, they can get they can ask for. They have to ask for it. It's not automatic. A visa, a visa extension to stay an extra year in France to look for a job. But they can also do that if they want to set up their own company. It's called it's no longer a student visa. It's called a visa for job search and entrepreneurship. So that's also a possibility they can have if they're looking for that. Of course, the internship is the best way to actually get your foot in the door for that. We do have an executive MBA that's blended, so it's mainly online, but with 3 residential periods in Paris and a learning trip to Costa Rica and Canada. This requires 8 years of work experience, so it's a higher level, and it's specialized in finance for sustainability. So getting tools from multi-capital performance. Chief Value Officer is in fact the idea that we have that the CFO, Chief Financial Officer, will be replaced by Chief Value Officer, and which will take into account not only the financial aspects, but also the human capital, the environmental capital, etc. So this is all also in the sustainability and CSR. We also have the doctorate program, as I said, that this is also it's minimum 5 years work experience, but this is mainly more people who want to go more into the academic, wants to get a doctorate. This is more research based. It's a 3-year program and online, and it also has more of a focus on CSR, responsible management. So scholarships, quickly, we can go into details of this. So we do have quite a range of scholarships because we kind of want to give everybody an opportunity. So we have a solidarity, what we call solidarity scholarship, which is mainly based on need. There is a minimum requirements for quality, but it's mainly on need, and this can be up to 30% off of tuition fees maximum. For the bachelor's programs, we have academic or sports excellence, up to 50% of the first year tuition they can get off. And that's based on either their GPA or for sports, they have to show that they're at a high level in the sports. For engineering, we have a scholarship specifically for women because they are underrepresented in the field of engineering. So we want to promote them for that. That can be even up to 60%. The project-based scholarships is based on a 2-page proposal that they have to submit. That can be up to 50%. That's only for the MBA and the Food and Agribusiness Management program. And then there's an excellence scholarship that's really on merit. So that's academics, so GPA, but also test scores. It could be leadership, volunteer work. We take everything into account, and that can be up to 50% for all of the graduate programs. And on top of that, we have an automatic early application. So now's the time. They just have to apply before January 31st for the fall intake, and they automatically get 1,500 euros off. And then they can accumulate that with one of these other scholarships here. They can apply for more than one. They can apply for all of them if they want, but they'll only get one. But they can accumulate that with the early application. So many different opportunities for scholarships. And they can also accumulate those Audencia tuition fee waiver scholarships. With additional scholarships, we have a foundation where they can get additional funding either towards their tuition fees or for living costs. That's mainly based on need, but also merit. There's the Eiffel Scholarship, which is a French government scholarship that gives a monthly stipend of over 1,000 euros per month based on the cost of living in Paris, which is about twice as much as in Nantes. And cost of living in Nantes is usually around 700 euros a month, depends on the student's way of life. And for this, they do have to, it's the school who applies for them, and they do have to be registered before December 1st. So it's now, now's the time, based on excellence. And then there's French embassy scholarships in different countries that's up to the student to apply for. So they can also have those opportunities. This is just a few words about some of the other admissions criteria. I already told you about, bachelor's and this. So the English proficiency, if they've done their studies in English or the native speakers, they don't have to submit a score. But if not, they have to submit, you see here our minimum requirements. For example, the IELTS has to be minimum 6.0. For some programs, we do even accept Duolingo, but they do have to be careful about for the visa, sometimes it's not accepted. The GMAT, GRE, other tests, SATs, etc., are not required, but they could help students get a scholarship, for example, but it's not an absolute requirement for that. French is also not a requirement unless they choose to do a program entirely in French. Otherwise, there's no French requirements, but it can give an added value as well. Anything that's not required can be a plus. But never a minus. So just about applications on a rolling basis, everything is online. There's a 100-euro application fee, but the students who come through our partners, our agents, we waive the application fee for them. So that's a little gift you can to promote that they can be waived the application fee. And then they're eligible, they get an interview. Some students, the interview can be waived if they're excellent students, for example. And then they get the within 2 to 3 weeks, they can get, they get the admissions decision within a week, and then they get the decision on their scholarship within 2 to 3 weeks after that. And then last one, because I want to leave some time. Here we go. Leave some time for questions. I just want to, on this note, since it's now the 16th of November, we are having an open house. So I encourage you and anyone you know, you can come and visit. There'll be webinars and lots of things online happening, students there as well to answer questions. That's that. And then, of course, check us out on our website and all that. So now I'm open to questions.
Thanks, Michelle. That's a great and very in-time, informative sessions. I saw some questions right here, mostly for okay. The first one, what is the application deadline for the next intake? You mentioned January 31st for the scholarships, right?
Yes. So admissions are on a rolling basis, so we don't have any specific deadlines at the moment for the fall intake. If the class gets full later on, we will close them usually in June. But the deadlines are mainly for the scholarships. So there's the January 31st deadline to get the early application fee waiver.
Yeah.
And then, as you see here, for the other scholarships, there's also deadlines. You have to apply before March 30th, for example, for the Solidarity, and before May 1st for the Excellence. So I really recommend, if possible, January 31st. And for the Eiffel Scholarship, it's even earlier. They have to actually apply by the end of November, even November 15th.
So the earlier the better.
Yes. Yeah, the earlier the better.
Like right now.
Yeah.
So for the sports excellence scholarships, does the student need to prove that they have some kind of like reward, or how can they prove they have excellence in sports?
Mm-hmm. Oh, in sports, yes. Well, for all of these scholarships, they on their online application for the program, there's a section for scholarships where they choose which ones they want to apply for. They have a little motivation letter to write, so they explain why they think they should get it and how it could make a difference for them. And then they have a place where they can upload any documents to support it. So for sports excellence, they will write in their motivation letter what they're doing, and then they could add like any kind of rewards they got, or proof that they're in maybe a national league or something like that. For the academic, there's a motivation letter, but then for that we look at their transcripts that they give for the application.
Okay, so the next question is about the English requirement. You mentioned that you accept Duolingo, but besides IELTS, TOEFL, TOEIC, you accept Duolingo. Do you have like reference of the placement test if students do not get any of those?
Not sure. So everything, the Duolingo, just a point on that. We don't recommend the Duolingo, but I think it's sometimes students, they don't have the time, or the opportunity to take the other one. Duolingo is not accepted for the Master in Management or the Management Engineering. That's true. The other ones we can accept it for admissions, but they do have to be careful for the visa. Sometimes it's not accepted. And the question, I'm not sure I understood your question. You mean if they don't have one of these test scores that we accept? What do we do? Is that the question? Yes.
Do you have the test, like the entry test for the student?
Oh, okay. I understand. No, we don't have a internal test for the student. That's why we started accepting Duolingo. It's kind of actually it was during the pandemic, since it was more difficult to get the English test scores. So if they don't have a TOEFL, an IELTS, or TOEIC, or a Cambridge, Duolingo is really easy and quick and not expensive to take. So no, they do have to have one of these. Otherwise, we will tell them, we will ask them to wait until they take it and submit it to process their admission.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so the next question, for the graduate program, does the student need to submit reference letter when they apply?
Yes. Question. So for the no, it's not mandatory. It's optional. We used to have it mandatory, but in the end, it was keeping some students from getting, deadlines, like early application deadlines. And honestly, they all say pretty much the same thing, requirement letters. So they can, if they want to, they can add them. We usually only look at them, to be honest, if we're not sure, there may be not a very high GPA or something, then it can be helpful. If not, it's not mandatory for any of the programs. What we need for the application is academic transcripts, translated into English, into English. We don't need to translate into French. Or if they're in English, if they're in French or Spanish, we can accept them. We can read those, but we can't. In Vietnamese, we can't. The copy of the degree, if they finish their studies, they can apply during the last year of studies. That's not a problem. The English test score. They actually do an essay, but they don't. They have an essay, short essay to write that's within the application file. It's more of a standard, like why they want to do the program or what are some of the challenges they faced, things like that. 500 to 1,000 words, and then an ID document, and that's it. And then optionally, they can do a recommendation letter if they have a test score like a GMAT, if they have a French test score, things like that. They can always add extra things if they think it's necessary.
Yep, thank you. I have a questions about you mentioned the master program, the executive master program require 8 years of experience. Is that all in the management level or is it
the MBA?
Yep.
No, the full-time MBA is 3 years of requires minimum 3 years of full-time work experience after graduating, but it doesn't have to be in a managerial position. It's really can be in any junior positions. It doesn't really matter in what. It just has to be full-time. Internships don't count, part-time doesn't count, and anything during studies doesn't count after studies. For the executive MBA that's mainly online, blended, the chief value officer, this has to be at least 5 years of managerial.
Yeah.
Okay. Just a note on that, for the full-time MBA, which is the most popular MBA program, the minimum is 3 years, but the average is around 7 years. And we also accept somebody who has 15 years. It's not, they can still, it's a great mix. We have a mix of nationalities. We usually have about 15 different nationalities for 30 students, different professional backgrounds, but also, the younger ones learn from the older learn from the younger ones. It's a good mix.
That's great. Okay, I have the last but very interesting questions. Is the student encouraged to learn French before coming to study at Audencia?
Are the students encouraged to learn French?
Yeah.
Is that the question?
Yes.
Yeah. That's a good question. It's not, as I mentioned earlier, it's no obligation whatsoever, but we do recommend it. For several reasons. The main reason is that if you can learn a little bit of French, even, do classes online, listen to podcasts, whatever, you don't have to go and, pay money to study. Of course, that's great if you can. But then when they arrive, they'll just be more at ease. They'll be able to get around better. They'll have a greater experience. And then if they have the basics, they can organically, learn well. We have French lessons we offer in the class. We have what we call a Café Français, where they can do language exchange with French students. And then the second reason is if they are looking for an internship or job opportunities in France, that's where it will be really helpful. It's not always an obligation. We have students who don't speak any French who find it, but it's really helpful at least to be able to have conversational, start the interview in French, and then before switching to English. So yes, we do recommend it. The younger generation, they all speak English at the school. Everyone speaks English, but of course, you go to a bakery. You want to order your baguette and your croissant. You see the French, it's all about the food.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a great advice. I don't see more questions here for now, but I'm sure that I will get maybe more when more people they rewatch this or they watch this later. And yeah, I guess it's also time to say goodbye to Michelle.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks
you
so much.
so much. Yeah.
Thank you. And I really look forward to maybe hear from everyone. You have our contact information here. Check out our website. And if you're listening to this now or before the 16th, we'd love to see you at our virtual open house as well. And especially here at Nantes for any students in September. Thank you so much, Trisha. Yeah. And thank you, everybody, for listening.
Yeah.
Thank you. Merci.
Bye-bye.
Bye.